Well, hello, my little chaos nibblings. It is I, Rehash, and welcome to the Gentleman's Chat.
So I heard that there was a sucky villain that you wanted me to look into. I wouldn't really call him sucky, I would just say not very intimidating.
Enough stalling, we're already late on the review as it is.
Right. This is Hazbin Hotel, Season 2, Episode 3.
So the episode begins where we last left off Charlie. Her screaming like a freaking maniac.
But in fairness, she has every reason to freak out. She bursts into the room with all of her friends, and barely is audible as she explains that Serpentius is in heaven, heaven's going into lockdown, they've been right all along, and redemption is possible. Through very, very, very diluted gasps of air and excitement.
I thought Charlie said no more drugs.
Don't hush my buzz, man.
Who let him in here? Well, while Charlie is running her all-time high, she immediately sinks right back down to a low when she sees a giant blip with her face saying dictator on it. While she's filled with her boundless confidence, she decides to pull the stupidest move in the history of stupid moves. Invite the media over so they can have a chat.
Well, thankfully, Vaj still has a functioning brain in her skull, as she tells Charlie to slow her roll, calm down. She's on a high, and she has every right to be on a high, but she won't make good decisions when she's overly happy.
She says this while Charlie is clearly texting Vox to send over his reporters so she could tell the news media that Serpentius got redeemed. Which... that's dumb. She's dumb. She has no actual physical evidence. Or the media doesn't care about evidence.
Yes, but for such a statement, she has to have some type of physical proof. She does not.
Okay. Charlie is definitely making a really stupid decision here, but I'm willing to give her some leeway because she is still on a sugar high. She's going to make bad decisions, and yeah, she's going to have to live with them.
But seriously, Charlie, you are inviting the orcs to the Shire with this one.
Well, we cut quickly to the rest of them as they discuss this revelation. Cherry Bomb is the one who is most, unbelieving, but it's kind of nice to see that Husk and Angel Dust both agree that if anybody was getting up, it was him. It's also here that we get to see an expansion on one of the subplots of the series. Cherry's relationship to Serpentius, and how she feels about it being over. Husk does drop a bomb that apparently Serpentius and the new character Baxter knew each other, and so Cherry Bomb totally doesn't go into the basement and talk to Baxter.
Then we cut to everyone's favorite game. How far can Charlie push Alistar before Alistar fucking snaps? Until the video demon himself shows up with his assistant. He introduces himself, Vox, and he immediately asks, "Where's Alistar?" Where Alistar completely dips.
Leaving our lone hobbit to the orcs, they immediately start the interview process where they ask a bunch of loaded questions that could be taken negatively no matter how you really answer them. And of course, their own media bias doesn't exactly hurt. And this is when Charlie admits she didn't actually call them for an exclusive interview, but rather to tell them that her hotel actually works, and Serpentius' soul was redeemed. They act shocked, but then Vox immediately sees bigger news story and congratulates the Princess of Hell, and immediately wants to start a live broadcast with the evidence she does not have, because, as in her own words, souls go up when they're redeemed. So, no proof. Okay, it's very, very difficult for me to judge the villains for their competency here, because this isn't competency. This is an incompetent protagonist issue. If the hero is actively trying to seek out the villain to exploit their weak spots, then you can't judge the villain for taking the opportunity. That's the problem with the hero. So I can't really judge Vox or the V's for this. I do the same thing.
Well, after being lied to about the interview, and no actual proof of redemption, the V's immediately turn tail and walk away. But Charlie insisting that they stay to hear her out. But no story, no reason to stay. This is when she writes a check her bitch can't cash, and says that they'll redeem a soul right in front of them, and they're happy to stay for that.
We then cut to Baxter, who is visited by Cherry Bomb during one of his experiments, and she discovers that he's working for Voxtech. Which he says, "No duh, bitch, of course I'm working for Voxtech. Have you seen me? This shit ain't cheap." You know, he kinda has a point. Seeing no reason to be nice to him, she says, "Tell me everything you know about Serpentius and yours relationship, or I'm detonating a bomb." And out of fear, he complies. Apparently they were lab partners. His words, not mine. They weren't particularly close, but they both shared a love for science. And it's also kind of cute that we get a backstory for the Egg Boys. Anywho, both of them competed for the favor of the Overlords for their technology. But between the two, Baxter was superior with his bioengineering. But what he had in science, he lacked in empathy. Anywho, though, during a showcase, it was clear that Baxter's science experiments of bioengineering were superior to Serpentius's regular mechanical fodder. But I think that's more or less he hasn't found any real implication outside of blimp technology for his cannons. But Baxter won the day between the two. But eventually the two of them had a bit of a falling out, as Serpentius didn't have...
You know, all things considered, I think Baxter got off pretty easy there. If it was me, well, his entire lab would be functionally upside down.
Yeah, he'd be needing a bicycle pump if he treated me like that. I'd be giving him a job application. What? I need more supervillain scientists in my ranks.
We then cut to what is potentially the first love song of Hazbin Hotel as a series, titled Piss.
What were you expecting, a wholesome name? Effectively, it's a song about Cherry Bomb and Serpentius examining their relationship and where it began to where it is now, and how much they missed beating the shit out of each other, because as much as they tried to destroy each other, they accidentally started to live for the idea of being the one that kills the other. And whether they know it or not, they kind of made it their thing and might have accidentally fallen in love.
Serpentius was already honest with his feelings at his final breath, but Cherry Bomb clearly is still working through it. Whether it's love or just lust still remains to be seen.
We then cut back to the hotel where the gang sees Charlie in a group talking circle. Yeah, they immediately pull her out of it and ask, what the fuck are they doing here?
What is that face he's making?
The news hits everybody, but it hits Angel Dust specifically because his boss works with them, and he's an asshole. All the V's are assholes. And Charlie is warned by Angel Dust that getting involved with any of them is nothing but trouble. But Charlie pushes his feelings to the side, saying they're only there to examine the hotel's inner workings and do a story. And they gotta redeem a soul. And she volunteers Angel Dust. Angel Dust is definitely against that. But even Huss says that if anybody's gonna be redeemed, it's gonna be Angel Dust. And I think he means it too. Vox tries to invalidate it, but Huss stands up for our little spider twink. So even though Angel Dust doesn't want to do it, he agrees to try to get redeemed and go into heaven. Okay, so are we absolutely certain that the V's are the bad guys here? Granted, they're the antagonists, but so far Charlie has done more damage to her hotel than all of the V's combined. And that includes the rapist. Yeah, admittedly, Charlie does make it pretty dang hard to root for her.
You are correct about the redemption. Big whoop. That doesn't make you right here.
It's here we get a song, The Steps to Redemption. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this song is pretty mid. It's grown on me a little bit, but it's not going in my playlist anytime soon.
Effectively, it's Charlie trying to figure out what they did to make Serpentius rise up, until she eventually just succumbs to maybe you just gotta self-sacrifice.
Yeah, are we sure she's not the bad guy here? Yeah, I'm kind of certain.
She is the Princess of Hell.
Well, Charlie eventually goes completely and utterly overboard, pretending to be this over-the-top 1920s supervillain, tying Husk to a train track and wanting Angel Dust to rescue him before the spear that is attached to the train skewers him. Okay, she has just gone crazy.
Yeah, she's the villain.
Well, I would say that, but she put in a brake system just in case something goes wrong, so no life is actually in danger. So she gets a pass.
But Angel Dust himself is less likely to give her a pass, because he's tired and doesn't want to do it anymore. Whatever's going on, he's not getting redeemed. Whatever they're trying, it's not working. And doing this whole show for Vox is not really on Angel Dust's agenda. So he's out.
Seeing that he's quit, Charlie does try to stop, but Vox cut the brakes because it wasn't exactly realistic. So now Nifty is on a runaway train and Husk is tied to the tracks. So naturally, Charlie would go into demon mode and use her magical demonic hell powers to summon her Trident, cut the rope, and free Husk. No, she uses her powers to summon her Trident and cut the rope. No, you don't get Angel Dust, you get the Trident yourself and cut the rope. Charlie, get your Trident, cut the rope. Oh, we're actually doing this. We're actually doing this. Okay, I will concede that that was very badass of Angel Dust and he was super awesome, but still.
Boo, boo, boo. What is actually wrong with you, Charlie?
You haven't done anything other than hurt your hotel this episode. Boo, boo,
no, you're not getting around this one. Now, to her credit, Charlie does try to apologize. And Angel Dust says it's alright because he knows she didn't mean anything terrible by it. But this also starts a fight between him and Husk, as Husk is physically angry that he threw himself in harm's way to be killed to save his worthless hide. And Angel Dust is angry that he tried to save his life. Obviously a breakdown in communication, and they really need to talk this out, but they're not going to do it this episode. So they end up leaving each other in a huff and not resolving anything. And while Vox is enjoying the drama, Vaggie tries to comfort Charlie that this was just a bad day, and as excited as she is that Serpentius got into heaven, they can't just recreate what Serpentius did. But then this gives Charlie an idea. They can't repeat what Serpentius did, because whatever Serpentius did redeemed his individual sin. So the solution is to redeem the individual sins of the individual. In other words, they gotta figure out what Angel Dust did to get him in hell to begin with, and then they're good. Well, except for the fact that Angel Dust doesn't want to talk about this, and this does push Charlie down the rabbit hole of being a bad person and a bad friend because she keeps pushing when he is clearly stating, boundaries, I do not want to talk about it today. Maybe in the future, but not today. It was just a bad time. But then Vox interjects. Oh, come on, what's the big deal? He couldn't have done anything that terrible. I mean, he's not that bad of a guy, honestly. Did he do, like, drugs and ignore his family, or did he just let out his dog and it never came back? I mean, compared to what Serpentius did, it shouldn't really be all that bad.
Call me that killed your dad, right?
Oh. Well, You know, I'm just going to sit over here for the remainder of the review and yeah.
So, Angel killed his own father. I knew he had a complicated mafia-style backstory, but I didn't really see this one coming. I'm sure he had a good reason, but yeah, how do you redeem someone for murder? Well, I suppose that's what Charlie and friends are going to have to ask. But before that, Charlie starts to lose the coop and use some of her demonic powers to threaten Vox and tell him to back off from Angel Dust and that he's no longer welcome at the Hazbin Hotel. So now she uses her demonic powers. My friend's life is in danger, and in an incident that I caused, nope, no reason to flare up there. But gosh darn it, bullying is so mean!
Do you think I could be redeemed?
I believe anyone can be redeemed.
Yeah, you can 100% tell that that is not the answer that he wanted. But here's another question for you, the audience. Do you think that Vox, of all things he's done, is going to be redeemed by the end of this season? If nothing else, that would be a hilarious twist and genius foreshadowing of this scene.
So after this epic victory that Charlie handed them on a silver platter, the V's leave. And Angel Dust is a lot less forgiving of Charlie's sorry than he was previously, as his bad habit of self-hatred flares up and he storms off. She tries to comfort him, but Vaj says, "No, not now. Too much has happened."
Wait, he threw his hat on the ground in the earlier scene. How did it get back on his head?
The V's are already in their truck, and they're already downloading the video compilations and all the slander, so that the very next day, Charlie's face is once again all over the news for the wrong reasons, with obviously doctored footage, obviously doctored statements, backhanded straight-up lies and slander, and promotion of the V's. So yeah, more people abandoned the hotel than ever before, and it's all Charlie's fault.
But there is one small, teeny tiny win out of all this mess. Cherry Bomb officially decides to stay at the hotel. And thus, her path to redemption truly begins.
And that was Hazbin Hotel Episode 3, and... okay, I can't believe I'm saying this. Piss really saved the episode.
Watching Charity Bomb and the other residents of the hotel interacting were absolutely delightful. It's unfortunate that everything involving Charlie this episode just felt really, really forced and wrong on every level. And it didn't help that we were following her throughout most of the episode. Charlie really showcased herself to be a really bad friend.
She invites the orcs into the Shire, she ignores Vaggie, she ignores Angel Dust, she tries to put him on the spot, and deliberately puts their lives in danger. Who needs slander when you have facts like that? And I really can't judge the competency of the villains, because right now, the biggest threat to Charlie's hotel is Charlie. And the reveal that Angel Dust killed his dad. Well, that pretty much guarantees that he's not going to be redeemed this season, because there's just not enough time to get a redemption like that out of the way. So, it's still up in the air if anyone's getting redeemed this season at all. But right now, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like anybody. But we're just going to have to see if that formula changes. But until then, I'm Gent.
I'm Rehash.
I am Devin Urs, and this has been a Gentleman's Chat.
We will see you all
next time.